thing, but basically I'm just being cheeky. I wanted to combine the two things I love most in life, which is being a geek and being a martial artist, and I found a way to do that by speaking at a mini-conf, so I'm very happy about that. What I wanted to do today is, I'm not doing slides, I do have some videos I'm going to be showing, but basically I'm trying to make this fairly hands-on, which I'm sure a few of you will love and a few of you will be terrified of. How many people here do martial arts? Yeah. Okay, cool. Used to? Yeah, okay. Basically, just a quick caveat, I'm still a student. Everything I'm going to talk to you about I don't get right all the time, so when you see me stuff it up, remind me of my talk. That'll be really handy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go through a little bit of theory about martial arts, a little bit of theory, I want to talk a little bit about fear, and that's right, fear. And then what I'm going to do is actually go through a couple of actual techniques and concepts and how they apply to conversation. And no, for everyone who tweeted me or emailed me saying, do I get to learn how to kick my boss's head in? No, that's not what this talk is about. But we can probably do a couple of things at the end. So, a little bit of theory at the start, and I'm sorry about a bit of talking, but basically the way I see it, and I've got this all into a blog which I'll be putting out because I want to, today with a lot more of the theory because I want to get more into the technical stuff, I guess the hands-on stuff. But martial arts is basically the theory and the practice and the study of yourself and the environment around you, and how you can live, I guess, harmoniously. But it's not about harmony being all flowers and roses. It's about trying to take the least destructive path. The only way you can take the least destructive path is by actually knowing what paths are open to you. So it's about trying to understand, okay, who am I? What am I? What am I good at? What am I bad at? What do I care about? What is the environment that I'm in? And it is really also about understanding your environment. You can be the most confident person around, but if you don't understand the context of what's happening around you, then you can still very quickly and easily come undone. So basically, martial arts is meant as or martial arts are meant, there are many, many, many different martial arts there, to prepare you to be completely and utterly competent to deal with everything that life throws at you, whether it be a punch or whether it be a verbal sling or whether it be a tsunami. They help help you see conflict as practice ground, they help you see your habits as conquerable, and fear is just another form of energy, not something to actually paralyse you and stop you from being able to do stuff. And importantly, it helps you see everything as a gift. And I just want to talk a little bit about fear, because a lot of women in martial arts, which is, I guess, part of, I'm actually looking at starting a school in Canberra for martial arts sometime next year or two, once I get up to the teacher level I need to. But one of the things I've been doing martial arts for about 15 years, and I really realised that there is a big difference between the challenges facing women and men in the martial context. And I think this actually applies to women in tech, to women in politics, to women in anything, in Australia anyway, where they are in a minority. But, and a lot of women find that they go to learn self-defence, that they can protect themselves, which is immediately setting up a precedent and a premise that you need to be defended, that you are weaker and more likely to fail or be attacked and these kinds of things. And of course, statistically, unfortunately, women are very much targeted, but we're definitely not victims, and that mentality, I think, has undone a lot of people, particularly in their martial practice, where a lot of women go through and then get to a point where they stop because they sort of go, but what does this mean in real life? I'm still going to be, it's still going to be a problem where it doesn't actually have to be. Okay, so I'm going to just draw from what I believe is one of the most important modern classics in the theory and practice of martial arts. I'm going to give you just a quick days. Of course, I have no idea how to hit. Escape. Yes. Sweet. And then I just drag stuff over this one, do I?
Yep.
That's not going to actually take it later. Okay, so from... okay.
So is that the Gathering Storm?
This time last week.
No, it was a photo taken.
Yeah.
No, it was a photo taken in Western US somewhere.
It's called the Mothership was Dude went round and took a whole lot of very close photos to extrude together.
Oh no, I just love the picture.
Awesome.
I think it's an awesome picture.
Okay, that's okay. It's coming. Sorry. I'll just pause this while I figure out how to actually drag it across. Drag it across where?
Just grab the top.
Doo-doo-doo.
That one.
That way.
Grab the top.
I knew I should use my computer. Sorry. There we go. Okay, Kung Fu Panda. One of the most important things that you will learn about martial arts, I believe. So, now how do I get back to Kung Fu Panda? There we go. Okay. Oh, so many workspaces. Okay, bear with me. I want to go to 4805. There we go, 4805. Doo-doo-doo. This is actually a lot more difficult than it looks. To actually go straight to where I want to go. 4805. I definitely should have used my computer.
There you go.
And of course you're not going to be able to hear anything. There is no volume. Yeah. Right now he's just been told he's going to have to fight Tai Lung, right? And he is absolutely terrified and he's just running away and he's being told, no, it's okay, you'll be able to do this. And he's like, don't be stupid. Even you don't think I can do this. He's like, yeah, I didn't think that, but now I do, it's okay. And he's just going, no, that's just ridiculous. So that's a little bit harder to... But the thing is that the fear is actually stopping him doing something which ultimately would actually be really, really cool for him to do. So, but the difference is, and I mean, this fear actually limits the options available to him. When you see a punch coming and you're immediately going, oh my God, if that hits me in the head, I'm totally going to fall over. You feel paralysed, but you've also, the fact that you've got to the point of conflict, you've also obviously missed a whole bunch of other options as well. So you've already limited, well, you've already limited your options somewhat. But the thing about, I guess, self-defense is that, and about combat, because I like to see it more in combat in terms of self-defense, because, we're engaging in combat. I'm not engaging in defending myself from you because I'm not buying into the premise that you're attacking me. I had this most fantastic experience, which was the best thing that has helped my martial arts and my combat technique in the years and years that I've been learning. And it was a 4-year-old girl that taught me this. I was sitting on the ground with her, and I was at a friend's place, and she was running at me. She was going, ah! And I was just taking her. I was using one of our very, very basic techniques, which is called Nine Palace Palm, where you basically, from something relatively straight, or it could be circular, but you're basically taking it, you're very, very subtly going with the flow of what it is, very subtly taking it the extra 1 or 2 degrees off center, so now it's missing you. You're turning it around, you're pushing it back. And then she called a little catch, you jump off it, do it again. And I realised that, admittedly she's a 4-year-old girl, so a little bit easier than a 130 kilo man. But I realised I was actually implementing that technique better than I had in the years of martial arts that I've been doing, the years of combat. And it was because I saw what we were doing as fun, and I saw it as joyful, and because rather than being afraid of what if I get this wrong, oh my God, I've been practicing for 15 years and I can't do this properly yet, what's going on with me, and if someone attacks me in the back lane, I'm going to be dead. It was just a little girl, and we were having a lot of fun, and it was great. And I went back to my school and started practicing, but treating everything with that same amount of joy. When something was thrown at me, rather than buying into the premise and allowing myself to see it as conflict, I just saw it as a gift. Oh, there's a wonder, and the bigger the person, the harder they fall, and it's really true. And so you see it as a gift and you play with it, and suddenly time, for whatever strange reasons, probably just because you're relaxed, time slows down, you can actually deal with it in a relaxed way. When you are fearful, everything speeds up and you're very tight and it's harder to move and you can't move with the same kind of relaxed power as when you're actually chilled out. So that was a really, really good lesson for me in terms of the importance of not allowing fear to be to be part of your combat and part of your practice. So basically with regards to fear, it's important to sort of learn the root of your fears, and this applies to obviously everything. The whole point of this talk is looking at combat and applying it to real life. Important to learn the root of your fears. Like if someone says, oh, you're doing something really stupid there, I could buy into the premise that this person actually, thinks that I'm stupid and I give a crap. Or I could say, well, actually, I don't really mind what that person thinks about me. I don't think I'm stupid, obviously. I'm pretty comfortable with being a relatively intelligent one. And so I don't need to buy into being affected by that negativity, by that conflict, by that issue. And now I can deal with it in a more relaxed way. And I can say, well, bugger you. And I'm okay with that. As opposed to sort of saying, well, why are they saying that? Maybe I've done something wrong. Oh, do I look stupid? Whatever. It's about understanding your fear, dealing with it, and being able to be free of baggage in engaging with things for exactly what they are. What's being thrown at me is a punch, or it's a piece of language, or it's negative vibe. It's not, you know, the thing that happened to me 2 years ago that I'm really upset about. It is what it is, and I'm dealing with it with exactly the same, for exactly what it is and nothing more. So, bring it back to Kung Fu Panda, of course. Hopefully, if I can. 117. After he sort of realizes that he's not bound by this, that he's not actually afraid of Tai Lung anymore, and that he, you know, and he starts to realize that, you know, he sees the secret scroll and it's just a reflection, and he realizes it's all himself, and he doesn't need any special source to be able to do martial arts or to be a master. This is the fight, and just watch the joy, because it is exactly this. And Tai Lung, of course, his biggest power is his fear. Everyone knows how scary Tai Lung is. Everyone, you know, wants to avoid him. Everyone thinks he's a big, scary, snow leopard, apparently. And most people just do not want to go anywhere near him, and if they engage with him, they're engaging in fear. They're engaging in, I have to beat you, otherwise you will destroy the planet. Whereas, you know, Poe is just, oh, you watch. Get the super scroll. I'm going to have to do the voiceover. I'm going to have a look in the super scroll. What's in the secret scroll? Ah! Hold a second. What's in the super scroll? What's in the super... Nothing's... What's going on? There is nothing. Yeah, you see, I got tricked by that as well. See, at first I thought there was something in the secret scroll, and then I realized it's all you. There is no secret source. Okay, now, usefully for him, he doesn't actually get hurt by pressure points because he's got so much fat. So maybe there's a lesson in that. Anyway, so he's giggling. Oh, stop it, oh my God. Oh. And now, being such a big man, he's like, super. Check it out. Well, the whole time you've got like this just beautiful joy in the way he's playing. He's just like, he knows himself now. He knows what works. He knows what doesn't work. And my favourite bit is coming up, which I'm going to have to do the sound for. But this Tai Lung is not used to this. He's not used to someone sort of engaging with him in this whole, you know, in this joking way. He's like, no. This is ridiculous. I am the big guy. And even in this, he's just belted this guy into space. He's like, oh. There's only one last bit I just need to get to, and then I'll stop the movie and get back to, you know, serious. And this is fascinating, because Tai Lung is, you can't beat me. I'm Tai Lung. You know, you are nothing. I have been training this forever. You know, you're just a big, fat panda. I'm a bit ahead. You're a big, fat panda. I'm not a big, fat panda. I'm the big, fat panda. All right, anyway, that's enough. It's surprising how important the speaking is in the martial arts movie, isn't it? Yeah, I could have just no, but I didn't do that. Yeah, so I think I've made my point about fear, and I should probably move on to other things. So, with the headspace taken care of, we'll get into some practical stuff. Martial arts really teaches you how to be strategic, and how to, by reading yourself, reading the environment, by having a bunch of tools at your disposal, you can then pick and choose the tools that actually suit the situation best that you're in. And I'll get into animal boxing in a minute, but so a couple of concepts which we'll go through. The first one I call embrace and extend. So the first one is that concept I was talking about with 9 palace palm. So who wants to be a volunteer? Okay. Wow. Maybe you guys are safe around. Okay, so the first concept is, and we'll just do it slowly to start if you don't mind, just to show people. If we're just got a straight punch coming, the concept is you're coming in, you're going to actually, it's not going to hit me, is it? Which is actually an interesting point, because it's really hard in martial arts classes, I found all around Australia, to get men to hit. So if the punch stops here, and I learned with that, then I will never be able to make this work in real life. So So just slowly, but going all the way through. Yes. So from there, do it one more time. I'll bite you. All right. So you only need to, like, you're taking your body off center slightly. You only need to move it slightly. Now, if you grab it, if the person knows that you're taking them off offline, you know, what's your instinct? You brace yourself. You're pulling back. You know, you're not going to be so. Yeah. Like if you feel like you're being grabbed, you're going to be pulling back. So the whole concept of this is really subtle, just really subtle. Not even sure what's happening, and now he's in my centre, and he's lost his balance. But it's about subtlety. And the same thing, the same thing in real life though. Like if someone is trying to come at you with something, and you just sort of go, rah! Then they're going to be like, okay, well, rah! So it's probably better to just figure out how to just slightly deflect it. And of course, I'm working in politics now, so I have to do this all the time. But I'll actually give you a life example from my childhood, which is a fantastic example, which I only tweaked into when I was about 25. Hello. My grandpa is the best example of this. We'd be driving along, and my brother and I had just discovered McDonald's, which we loved, of course, as every strange child does. And we were like, oh my God, there's McDonald's, we have to go to McDonald's, have to go to McDonald's. Now, if he'd said no, you know, of course he would have tantrums and crying and all the things I still do. What he did was, where? Where is it, kid? Oh, I can't see it. Where? Oh, we missed it. I never tweaked to this for years, but it is like just, the concept is the person's energy is going in some direction. You're not trying to stop it. You're not trying to arrest it. You're not trying to recreate it. You're letting it go, and you're just slightly redirecting it. And so it doesn't hurt you anymore. And in his case, he really hated McDonald's, so that was a really good use of it. Okay, the second one I'm going to use is a thing called reframing. I'm going to use everyone's favourite. Oh, how am I going to do that? How do I do this? No, there's no voices necessary for this one, although I may have to do one sound effect. Okay, how do I do this? Woo!
What if we want more voices?
I can do more voices if we need. Oh, Brer Rabbit's the other example of embrace and extend. You know, don't throw me into the briar patch. Anyway, briar patch. Anyway, okay, this is a fantastic example of reframing. So the person... I'm going to have to do the sound effects, obviously. Bang! Bang! But the thing is, the context was, I am a master of the sword. Then, of course, when I started using sword, and I was like, wow, that guy's really crap. But the context is, I am a master of this weapon. I am showing you how awesome I am. You know, I am totally going to kick your ass. I'm going to show you how much I'm going to kick your ass. You could buy into that context. You could buy into that premise, or you could say, screw it, I'm going to reframe it completely. I've got something that's going to beat you, so I'm just going to do that. In terms of life, I'll give you... How much more time do I have?
About 15 minutes.
Oh, good. Okay, heaps of time. All right, so I can do another martial example.
Finish early if you want to.
I'll do another martial example. Any other volunteers? Yes. Summer of Code happening this year. All right. Now, this is a thing called. Actually, I won't tell you what it's called yet. So, if I'm getting just. Actually, we'll do it the other way, just so I can show you. Okay. Just so I can show you all just how emotions going to be. What I want is a very, very slow punch at my face. Now we're coming in. Yeah. She's like, why on earth am I here? What else going on? I'm going to go to the law. In fact, one of my masters did this, but the whole idea is that even at a rapid pace, we're just taking it, we're slowly, we're sneaking behind, but we've got you, and we're like, whoa, what are we doing now? What are we doing? You know, and that person actually can't really move from there. Even if they flap their arm about, there's not really much they can do. And my master demonstrated that on me, in front of a class of, people, which of course is always the way to go, where he actually he also said to the class, does anyone want to tickle Pia? And of course, that definitely reframed it. But another really good example, which is sort of martial but sort of not, one of my masters, who is an amazing master, he was actually at a big he had his family there, and he had his friends there, and a whole bunch of people. And some local tough kid came up to him and said, "Oh, you! Heard that you're local kung fu master. I'm going to beat you up," because I'm whatever style he was. And he was like really aggressive and really excited. So my master sort of thought to himself, okay, I'm in a beer garden, there's kids around, there's my family around, there's my friends around. I could buy into this, or I could just completely change the circumstances and see what happens. So what he did, and this guy could, like, no doubt hit this guy's but he threw himself to the ground and he's going, "Oh my God!" And the guy was like, pussy, and walked off. And so my master was like, okay, cool, and he got up and finished his dinner with his family and friends. He didn't have to engage in the conflict to be able to diffuse it in a way that the guy was not prepared for. That meant that everyone around it, like, you know, if you were a proud person, maybe your pride would be hurt. But he's just like, you know. Ultimately, what matters here is that, you know, I don't get my kid, who he loves very much, hurt, and my wife hurt, and so he did something completely out of... He reframed the situation. I thought it was a good one.
You let them live.
Well, yeah. Oh, I didn't say he didn't go around that night, no. No, he wouldn't. Limit your opponent's options. This is an interesting one, both in life and both in martial. So, who wants to be a volunteer? Oh, you know you do.
Oh, you keep looking at me when you
I do. I know this one should come on. Yeah.
No, actually. I'm terrified of it.
Yeah, don't worry. I played a game of 3D chess when I was a kid where the queen was stabbing in the back of his horse. Sorry about that little introduction. So, when you are in combat, if you start from like a relaxed position like this, right, every option is open to you. Now this, on one hand, sounds good because we all like options, don't we? But actually, options are really kind of scary because you also have to be able to react to anything they can throw at you. If I start from here, alright, what are you going to do? By starting from a position where you're actually, well, there's a couple of things, and there's also things like this, and there's all kinds of funny ones where, but something like that, you are now limiting their options, because rather than coming straight at you, which looks a little bit more dangerous, they're going to say, okay, well maybe I'm going to go right here, which is great. If you're going to come inside, you know, there's all kinds of, you've now, you're sort of making it look like it's open to feet, fantastic. Things like this, like these kind of really big, you know, kind of moves. They're beautiful because it's like, my face is open, come and get it. And the whole point of these is because you've now got this enormous trap to be able to go and do all kinds of cool stuff. So, limiting their options is about, okay, well, maybe I don't feel comfortable just going for nothing. I'm already in a position of conflict, so getting into a position of conflict isn't actually going to make it any worse, but at least I can limit their options and show them, well, maybe they've got other options now. You know, do you really want to engage with me? That's nothing. And obviously in terms of real life, it's a similar sort of thing. You know, if a really sneaky, like the only example that came to mind very rapidly while I was still trying, like I had so much fun putting this together, but I probably should have spent a little bit more time. But the first example that came to me, which is a very sneaky example, but I thought was funny, but telling someone something that will make them really angry in a public place. Right, so you've limited their options. They can't throw something at you, unless they're like Jeff and they just don't care what people think. But you know, but generally, most people, you know, you can sort of contain that way. So, okay, use what you have. Knowing what's available to you at all times is a good way to ensure that you're always using the resources available to you. I know it's a cyclic argument, but work with me. So in terms of combat, the reason there are so many weapons in Chinese martial arts is because at various points through history, fighting or martial arts have been banned. So they're like, okay, yeah, no, martial arts is banned. Yeah, no, this is just my walking stick. no, just a walking stick, it's cool. No, this is just my fan, you know, the fact it's got blades and it's sharp. You know, no, it's just pretty. Actually, I'll show you another one at the end, but, or umbrella, like the best martial fights I've seen, Wong Pei for those who want to go there, is with an umbrella. It's absolutely amazing. You know, you've got it open, you've got it closed, you've got a sharp thing, you've got a wide thing, you can obscure vision, you can hook behind the neck with the hook and do all kinds of interesting stuff. It's a fantastic weapon. But, so from a combat perspective, knowing what you've got is really important. In terms of live, and I'm actually going to use another martial example, but obviously this, you know, it's pretty obvious how that applies from a conversation perspective. But you know, if you're walking along and someone's attacking you, you've got your car keys. You know, those are amazing. You've got you might be carrying a box. You might be carrying. This is a terrible example, and I apologise to the mother who's somewhere at the back. But there's a trick that they did in that apparently some gypsies do in I think it was England, where they throw what looks like a baby and the person carries it. Sometimes it's usually fake, obviously. But they're like, oh my God, it's a baby! I mean, while they pickpocket you and run up. So, you know, using what's available to you. And of course, diamond rings. These things can cut glass, so they're much better. So using what you've got to actually, making sure that you're aware of everything you've got at your disposal and then using everything that you've got at your disposal as effectively as possible. Now we get to my favourite part, which of course I've only got 10 minutes to do, which is knowing your strengths and weaknesses. Now, who wants to have a guess at what the whole point of animal styles is in Kung Fu. So like, your tiger style, your snake style, you're just in Kung Fu Panda. Anyone want to try a guess? What's the point of animal styles? They look kind of silly.
Mimic their abilities.
Mimic their abilities, so mimicking maybe some of their strengths and maybe even some of their weaknesses.
Like a paper, rock, scissors type thing, where some are stronger than others, and you use a different tool depending on the strength or weakness.
Yes. Yep. You use a different tool depending on what strength and weakness and all the rest of it. And there is actually another part. Take that to the next step and say mentally, what applies. So the interesting thing is that every animal style not only has a physical style, but it has a mental, psychological style. So it's about saying, okay, well, what actually applies? So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. And I mean, a lot of people talk about, the myth of women, of female warriors and women warriors. And my master actually did an amazing post about it, which basically says, there is no myth, there are lots of them, don't be stupid. And the funny thing is that you actually say, okay, well, let's have a look at, if you look at some styles of martial arts, and I've practiced at some of these styles where it's like, practice against someone your own size and strength, roughly. And that's all fine and well and good, but I want to actually work to my strengths as a person, not within the context of I guess, a relatively equal playing field. So, I'm actually a lot faster and a lot more flexible than my main training partner for years was a 130-kilo bouncer. And he actually got me once and I went down. I didn't get back up. But pretty much every other time I got him because I was faster and I was, more flexible and I could move a lot faster than him. So, there are strengths and weaknesses in every individual. It's not a gender thing, it's a physiological thing, it's a psychological thing. So, and I mean, for instance, I tend to like things like tiger style, but frankly, in practice, I couldn't actually make them work as well as I'd like to because they're not suited to someone of my particular physiology. But for instance, something like leopard. So tiger is about, a punch is coming in, you're sort of ripping it and taking it straight for the throat, and sort of, it's like running up the mountain and just continuing in. And I'll show you something in just a minute. But leopard is this beautiful fist that looks a little bit like that, and it's all about, it's a very flicky thing, and it looks kind of weird. Sometimes it's straight punches, sometimes it's sort of flicking, it's sort of getting inside, interesting kind of, very fast. But that punch, straight on, is meant to go between ribs and sternum. Flicking, it's meant to rupture internal organs. So you don't need to have a lot of strength to actually apply this stuff. It's about the applicability. So let's go into a couple of examples. Crane. Anyone? Okay, I'm not going to rip anyone's throat out. Anyone else want to volunteer? You've been once, but I will let you go one more time because you're awesome. We'll go with Don Mark. Not this time.
Right.
I'll say something special for you.
Now might be the time to leave.
Alright, so crane. I'm just going to get my notes just 1 second. The concept of crane is that it's about dignity, it's about restraint. If you look physically at the crane, obviously it's got twiddly little legs, so it's not exactly going to be going for a lot of, things that rely on bulky strength. It's about saying, okay, well, I'm a crane, I'm not going to, if you punch me in the wing, it's going to be broken and I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So how can I tire you out till you're fatigued, and then I'll take you? Just like that. No, it's about being well balanced, it's about being fast, and it's about using restraint, not because you like the person, but because only through restraint you're going to lull them into the situation that you want them in, at which point you can take them out. So, is that some context? In terms of straight punching, like this kind of thing, if you're just throwing like punch after punch, and I'm just, whoa, okay, you can do whatever I want. And you can just throw like just straight proper punches, but just slowest, just so I can
Do you want
and again you want
to actually hit you?
Now, all I'm doing, it's kind of interesting, all I'm doing is very gentle, it's just hit. But the funny thing is that, like, firstly, I'll just stop there for a second. Firstly, when it's a very simple thing. It looks a bit like a kangaroo, but it's very gentle. It's sort of coming behind the person's elbow, just sort of taking them that degree or two past the face, so they're not actually hitting you. Meanwhile, they're getting tired. You're just sort of, you're very relaxed and all the rest of it. But the other thing is that you're not actually starting off.
You're not using energy.
Not using any energy, exactly. And when the first punch comes and I'm there, I don't need to go for the second one until I actually feel the first one pulling back. So it's also about being in tune with and It's about being in tune with what they're doing as well. It's like a form of sticky hands, which is a form of our martial arts, form of our combat practice, where you're there, and it's like, well, I can wait all day, but once you pull that arm back, I'm going to move into it. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do another block. I'm going to do something. Okay. In terms of in person, let's say someone was, yelling at you, "What's wrong with you? Can't you do anything right?" A typical crane response might be something like, "I'm not sure there is anything wrong with me. What is the problem?" Tiger basically is about overcoming obstacles through tenacity and strength. It's that sort of clawing, sort of very, very strong. It's quite low. It's very low centered. And a typical, and I won't do demos of all these because we don't have much time, but a typical, in terms of a verbal, as the person starts with "What's wrong with you?" you might be like, "Get out of my way, I've got more important things to do right now." It's just about, I'm going there, nothing is getting in the way, whether it would be a person, a tree, or a mountain. Snake is quite fascinating because my master learnt snake, and he's a man, but snake is seen as a women's style. Snake is, and I'm not very good at it, but it's this very, very gentle sort of, not gentle, this very elegant looking sort of thing. But it's about buoyancy, adaptability, strategy, subtlety, and it's about relaxed power. So rather than sort of being all tied up and sort of tiger sort of feel, it's about sort of being like, okay, let's go. Whenever you're ready, okay, and then when you're ready, it's very, 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 very fast. Typical snake response might be something like, "I thought I was doing all right, but seeing you think otherwise, how would you think I could do it better?" Putting it back on them. What are you talking about? I'm not going to buy into your crap. Leopard panther, I sort of mentioned before, a typical response might be, and sort of why leopard probably applies to me, "I know complex things are hard for you, but I promise to explain when you grow up." Now, I'm going to show you another style, just a little bit of drunkard boxing, and I want you to watch it and think about, what on earth is the point of this? Okay. What are you doing? Go big. Okay, just watch it small. That's all right. And yes, this is real time. It's not slowed down or anything weird. Alright. That'll probably be enough for now. Okay, what do you think is the point of this style? What do you think what's it trying to do? Go for it.
I always figured it was two parts. One is unpredictability, and the second part being fluid and flowing, to be able to fall out of it.
Absolutely, those are like two extremely important parts of it. Yeah, me too. And I've actually got a drunken pole form, which is kind of fun. But the third part, which is quite fascinating, is it's also about, well, being drunk. It's about not necessarily being drunk, but being hurt in some way. If you've been hit in the arm and it's now taken out of combat, how do you compensate for that? If you just, you've been hit in the head, you're bleeding, you're feeling a bit woozy and all the rest of it, how do you use that to your advantage? If someone's hitting you in the head, as you're being hit, you could go, "Oh my God, I've been hit in the head, I'm now dead, oh well, bugger it." Or you could go, "I've been hit in the head, woo!" You've always got, at any point in time, even when you're taking damage, the capacity to actually use that to your advantage. So drunkard boxing, and the other part of it, you saw him sort of do these kind of moves. That's actually those cute little sake kind of style little cups. They learned, the art of throwing them really hard. And the big barrels, this kind of thing. It's all about, having a complete understanding of where you're at, what's going on, what your strengths and weaknesses are, having that flexibility, having that unpredictability. Monkey is the same. It's very, very unpredictable, very, very difficult for something like a tiger to fight. Okay, in the few minutes I got left, a couple of last things. In terms of martial arts, and I think this applies also to general everyday life, the body is a temple sort of thing. You want to, basically, the guy that started most of the martial arts in China was an Indian guy called Dharma, who came over to Shaolin, and he got there and he found a temple full of tubby dudes. And he said, "What are you doing?" And they were like, French Buddha, blah, blah, blah. And he just sort of said, okay, well, you can't create a Buddha if you're going to die of a heart attack at 30. So he put them to work, he got them doing a very similar style of martial arts that he'd been taught in India. He got them very fit and sort of taught them that martial arts, it's not just about being fit, it's about applying your, the whispering in the front is distracting me, sorry. It's about actually everything that you do, and the martial art itself is meditation. It is a form of coming to become enlightened, because that awareness that you get of yourself, of your environment, of everything that's going around you actually helps you see clearly, because it's all about having clarity. And the same thing I think is in everyday life. Like, it's very, very hard to see clearly if you're heaving your way up a set of stairs. You need to be able to, being able to have being able to be comfortable is going to help you see clearly and engage with the world in a very clear way. Doesn't mean everyone has to be, super skinny or super fit. Just means you need to be comfortable and you need to be aware of your body. I've got a whole bunch of reading. Oh, I promised you something, didn't I? What will I do to you? All right, what I'll do is, just to finish up, and hopefully my pants won't fall down, I will just give a quick demo. Yeah, no, it's okay. I don't need them to fall down. I'm going to give just a very short demo of a form which is 5 animals. Sorry? Yeah. I'm going to just give just a little bit of the form, and I'm going to do a couple of moves at a time, and I want you to see if you can pick the animal. Okay? I'm not as good as getting into the headspace, but you will hopefully get the idea. Alright, I'll just start down here. So we've got. Okay, sorry. That was tigers to actually, well, actually, I went into leopard, but yeah. There, there you go. So then we've got leopard, then we've got. Everyone good with that? Yeah, that's great. Yeah. This one you won't know, I haven't spoken about it yet, but this one you should. Well, yeah, I obviously saw Cookie over there. that was sort of leopard, so sort of very, very fast, very quick, sort of sharp movements. What else have I got? Oh, that was terrible. Yeah, cool. Then we've got another snake, and then that's a tricky one. None of you will probably get it. It's actually crane. Anyway, there. This one we haven't spoken about. Dragon is basically the combination of the 5 main animals all together. But I'll give you one more just quick tiger thing. I don't remember how it goes now. But it's not for a while. Oh, hold on. I'm going to turn on ages.
We won't know if you do it wrong.
Sorry?
We won't know if you do it wrong.
This is true. Anyone? Anyone? Animal? Did you say goldfish? Tiger. Yeah, that one's tiger. It's very, very cool. There are hundreds of animal styles. There's like dog, mantis, there's eagles, there's all kinds of cool stuff. There's all kinds of cool. I'm going to be putting this up as a blog post with all the videos. Sorry?
T-Rex style.
That was terrible, wasn't it? Sorry, I was just getting into it. I'm going to be putting this up as a blog post. I'm going to be putting up a whole bunch of recommended reading if you're interested in this kind of stuff, and all the YouTube videos and stuff. So thank you very much.